Southwest. Awesome. So let's bring up our judges. So our sharks are here. So come on up. Come on, ladies. Come on, gentlemen. Come have a seat. And we will take a brief intro for each one of you. So I'll start with myself. My name is ERock Christopher. I'm the CEO of this famous media group. We have invested in various types of companies, what I like to say from IRL to URL. And excited to be here today, and I'm going to turn it over to the lifestyle investor to start us off.
My name's Justin. Check. My name's Justin Donald, founder and author of The Lifestyle Investor. Wrote a book kind of outlining my criteria to cash flow investing and living life on your terms. So my goal is to really teach people you can do it differently than what our conventional financial institutions say and want you to do with their money.
Hello, everyone. My name is SxSW. I'm one of the co-founders of Black Women Talk Tech. We are the largest network of Black women tech or scalable business owners. We've been around for 7 years. Our mission is to help Black women build the next billion-dollar tech or scalable business. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Ina, and I work for HubSpot. I lead our HubSpot for Startups program. And as part of that program, we offer up to 90% off for founders that are trying to scale on HubSpot. If you don't know what HubSpot is, free CRM, sales, marketing, service hub. So if you kind of take the core parts of like Salesforce, Calendly, Marketo, Zendesk, Hootsuite, MailChimp, you roll them into one and add a few things, that's us. And we do it at 90% off. So not a bad pitch. Also, we are throwing a huge Unicorn Oasis party tomorrow, and this crowd is invited. So if you're looking to network with other startups, if you're looking to network with venture, and you want some kind of a glittery unicorn disco, if that's your vibe, then come talk to me after, and I can give you the RSVP. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So we're excited to bring up our first competitor. So Tim, come on up and share with us. And the way it's going to work, 5 minutes to pitch, 5 minutes of questions. Come stand up on stage and rock the mic.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm Tim Flatt. The name of the company is Real Time Network. And today I want to talk to you about a new technology that came out, or that we're bringing out, called Real Time Voice Analyzer. And Real Time Voice Analyzer is it's a technology that uses voice biomarkers and AI to detect respiratory illness, including COVID-19. One of the great things about it is it always detects the most recent variants as well, because it's AI and it's voice. They can constantly be updating it. So in 2014, Dr. Rainey St and her team began to develop this concept of coming up with a way to detect respiratory illness. And they began and worked for about 8 years, about 6 years and it was going along pretty steady, but not that fast. They had teams. Their teams are from MIT, Yale Medical School, and Carnegie Mellon. And when COVID hit, they saw the need, and so they immediately opened up a couple of health clinics, or connected with some health clinics in the Philippines, India, and some other places where they're able to have people come in, take the screening device, and then they would take a PCR test, and they would be able to evaluate it and really hone the device. So where we are right now is we're launching the product next month, and what we have from we've eliminated so many of the problems that you have with getting testing out there and getting things in place for testing. So where we stand today is this here. If you take the test, you're going to get one of three results. You're going to get a green that says you have no respiratory illness. You're going to get a red that says you have COVID-19, or you're going to get a yellow that says you have a non-COVID-19 respiratory illness. Now, that's pretty exciting, but it's even better because by flu season this year, we're going to have shades of yellow, and you're going to be able to know that you have influenza A or influenza B. And as time goes on, pneumonia will be detected, along with things like asthma, bronchitis, even early onset of lung cancer, as well as ALS. And so anytime a respiratory illness will be able to be detected by this. And so what we're working with them, my company is called Real Time Network, and we have an exclusive agreement to work and for the next 10 years to be the marketing arm for this company. Now, one of the great things about this here is that if you think about the fact that there's 152 developing countries with something like 6.2 billion people that don't have access to this type of screening, and our goal is to be able to reach out. If there's 6.92 billion people with cell phones. If they have a cell phone, they'll be able to take this test, and it's going to be affordable. If you can afford a cell phone, you can afford to take the test. And so you get rid of all the kinds of things like looking for a test, a test that expires, a test that doesn't detect for the latest variant, to a test that you have to take and shove something up your nose that's very uncomfortable to take it. And we have a test that now has over almost 95% accuracy, which is better than any of the screening devices that are out there and way higher than rapid test. And so our plan is to begin marketing in the U.S. in April, and then in July expand it to the rest of the world.
Andy finished 3 minutes early.
Okay, we need to give a round of applause for that.
So thank you so much. First of all, this sounds very exciting and very timely. So you said that this is through AI, right? And voice recognition?
And the cloud, yeah, iCloud, you're right.
So one of my curiosities, so when I'm thinking about your target market and you're looking at people that don't necessarily always have access to regular healthcare, that is oftentimes, I'm assuming, a pretty diverse crowd of people. And when I think about AI, oftentimes, and especially voice recognition, oftentimes it over-indexes for male voices and for white voices. So one of the things that I'm curious about is how you think about having a very diverse group of people that you're testing this on to make sure that it's really accurate in the markets that you're going to go into.
So they've done a lot of developing countries with the clinics, okay, and so it's a very even balanced of male and female, and the test itself is language agnostic, as it's basically on vowels, and it's basically a repeat the vowels, and the testing has been very good, and so I hope that answers that question. But I would say, from a market standpoint, what you're saying there is that, think about the two different ways you can do it. First of all, in the U.S., how much of an advantage is it for, how many times you thought, I wonder if this is COVID or if it's just the flu or if it's just a cough. And so for a few bucks, you can take the test and find out whether you should even go into the doctors or not. And then on the other side of it, we start to get into, say, a health clinic in Africa where it's so... where do you start, right? If the clinic can take and give the test when people come in, or the screening when people come in, and know where to begin looking for tests. So it can save so much money in healthcare and also can direct people in so many ways.
So tell me a little bit more about your competitive edge and your competitors in the marketplace. There are quite a few people that I heard doing something, but it may not be voice, but something similar. So tell me a little bit about that.
It's not going to be a non-competitive market. A lot of the tests that you see right now are really come out of India, and they don't really have the design, the testing behind them to prove it. And so I think that's a big piece of it. But the voice is going to be, if you're talking about respiratory illness, it is going to be voice. And that's just the only way I think that it's going to be effective. And so we have some proprietary stuff. We have some patents on some of the things they're doing. And again, I'm not the technology part of it. We are connected with, so I can't talk in too much detail just because I don't have, but hope that helps. Okay.
Very interesting. From the standpoint of privacy and making sure that data is protected. Right now, there's this big data grab. Everyone wants to aggregate. People want to, companies want to take it, sell it. What is the privacy policy? And obviously, there's some HIPAA things, but I'm curious from a private standpoint what that looks like.
It's fully HIPAA compliant. They're actually using we're using a platform for the data that is used for 480 projects right now, and it is patented, and it's again 100% HIPAA compliant.
You mentioned that you have the licensing rights. Is that exclusive to the United States? Is it North America? Is it a global exclusivity?
Yeah,
what's your market share?
It's exclusive worldwide marketing rights, and it's a 10-year agreement.
Okay, excellent, awesome. So, anybody want to ask any additional questions? Awesome. I think we're good. Awesome.
Right,
thank you, Tim. All right, Dr. Chance, you are up, my friend.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Chance Glenn. In my day job, I'm a professor and an engineer, but I love to create, love to innovate, and anybody who knows me knows that I really love Star Trek. And I am guided by technologies that were there and trying to create those things. And one of the things that's a really popular one is something called a replicator, where you tell it what to make and it can make it. Well, I'm an electrical engineer, as I stated, and one of the things I wanted to know was how could you 3D print electronic devices that actually work when you take it out? And knowing that there were 6 materials that you had to have, we figured out how to do that and actually gathered up over $1 million in SBIR, STTR funding to go through several rounds of development and prototyping to the point where now we have our product, which is the Electronic Alchemy eForge. And this 3D printer, and we're at the point now where we're ready to manufacture and put it to market. That's where we are at. This printer will print up to 8 different materials simultaneously. And the materials that you need to print electronics are conductive materials, capacitive materials, resistive materials, N-type, P-type, semiconductors, and capacitive materials. We can print all of that and actually more. So we have, you may be aware that the 3D printer market at right now in 2022 is about 16.7 billion, and it's growing at 23%. And these are primarily FDM printers, which print plastic devices. Well, we're taking, giant leaps ahead there, because not only printing conductive things, but all the others that I mentioned. So we're printing devices like sensors. I could show you things. We have some slide decks that could show you all of the different devices that we've been able to print. And NASA is very, very interested in this technology. That's why they funded it through the SBIR program, because they're looking at ways to produce specialized pieces of equipment on site, on mission, in space, orbiting planets, out on the moon, Mars, wherever we may be lucky enough to go. And that's their interest. But what we were able to do, and this is part of our intellectual property, we just had a full patent that issued in April of last year. And it encompasses the materials, it encompasses the process for printing, and it encompasses the software that you use to manipulate and control the printer. And we all own that, and we've had a very successful Kickstarter campaign, which we sold out in 2 days. And so now we're at the point, we've gone through a couple of iterations, and actually, if you might indulge me, I want to show you fresh off the presses, the latest version that is ready to be manufactured. And so our cost for manufacturing, and it's dependent on the quantity, but it's around $1,500 to $1,800. Now, a competitive 3D printer out there now is called the Ultimaker S3. Now, this only prints plastic. It has 2 nozzles. It has the same print speed, print volume that we have, but we can do all these other things. It retails for $5,500. Our price point would be around $5,500 or so. And our entry will be educational institutions first, for 2 reasons. One, that there's a early entry there that's very kind of a soft market. Everybody has maker spaces. There's over 100,000 K through 12 and college universities in this whole country. And that doesn't count around the world. So we have a really good market for learning, which will also allow us to get the creative element. They will create devices that can be passed around through our portal so that people can share and learn and do better. And then the next step would be research institutions, businesses, and then the general public. So that's our plan. We're ready to go. We need capital to do that manufacturing and get it out to market. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, that's amazing. Question for you, based on having contracts with NASA or any let's call it a government agency, defense contractor, whoever it might be. There are hoops that you've got to jump through, specifications you've got to meet. You have so much. I'm curious where you are in that process.
Oh, well, we've completed those contracts, and as a matter of fact, even if you search on them, we've gone through and had excellent marks on the completion. That's where our prototypes came from. So the STTR SBR process is phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We've had all of those phases. We've completed those phases, and we've met the requirements. And for NASA, which is very strenuous, we met that, and they're very excited about what we've done. So yes.
Tell me a little bit about your team and how you plan to grow in the next 2 years.
Right. Well, right now we have a lean team, and I think the important parts now would be business development, marketing, and ability to do e-commerce, because that's going to be the initial way to launch. And we have a manufacturing process that each machine would take about 3 to 4 weeks to complete. So it will be a order on demand model until we're able to hold more and more inventory. So our team is lean. We need some of the capital to fill out the kind of team to do the business of this, now that we've kind of nailed the science and the engineering and the technical sides. Okay.
Very compelling pitch.
Thank you.
I think you have some real differentiating factors, especially when it comes to price and being able to print in so many different materials. That's very exciting.
Yes.
One question around your plan to go to market. If you're looking at NASA and you're looking at research institutions, I'm curious why, if there's a thought of going the governmental route and seeing what the applicability and market is there.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. That's like stage 2, really, because when I say the research institutions, I'm thinking about government labs, procurement. One of the people on our team, a young lady who's really well versed in government contracting, was the one who allowed us to actually win those contracts by setting us up. There were several steps we had to take just to compete. And but now that we are an official vendor for NASA, we're official vendor for DOD. And so that is a viable place. But the schools, almost every school now has maker spaces with 10, 15 different 3D printers like the one I mentioned that they have. This one would be exciting for them. And the thing is that our printer will print everything that theirs can, and everything that we can that they can't. And so at a price that is competitive to do all of it. So
I'd love to ask one more question on the back of the question that you asked. You asked a little question about how your team is expanding. I'd like to know a little bit more about who's currently on your team.
Well, there's myself. Then I have a government relations person who's actually listening online, I'm pretty sure. There's 5 people. There's a co-inventor who's also a engineer as well. There's the government business person, business development person I mentioned, and then there's administrative staff. So we've got lean 5-person team.
Is the play in the go-to-market strategy then trying to go to like educational places and like a B2B play, or is a play to be like a B2C? You're going to be able to print these things at like, I don't know, at a competitive price that you're going to disrupt and knock out Dell? No,
definitely not. It is the first that you mentioned. to place these devices, as well as all the knowledge and the education that comes behind it in these schools, and create a culture of people who are doing this and using this and coming up with ways to manufacture, while we're improving our processes, improving our creating new materials that we can add to this, kind of materials that you excite and they light up. So now you can create these really cool and interesting devices. All of that will be happening as we go to more and more sophisticated more and more sophisticated customers. That's how we're going to develop. But now there's a licensing play, right? I mean, we own the IP, we own the materials. There's a licensing play, there's an acquisition play, there's a few different ways we could exit.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Chance. Appreciate you. Great job.
Thank you for letting me be here.
All right, next up, we have Nate, local Austin native.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks so much. Great to be here. So my name's Nate. I am the co-founder of Schmoody. We are the first mental health app that's actually fun to use. So I met my co-founder, Mike, in the early part of the pandemic at a 12-step recovery meeting in Brooklyn, New York. So Mike and I are both long-term sober, and we bonded over our shared desire to bring the same tools that have worked for us in our mental health journeys, so that includes struggles with depression and anxiety, to potentially millions of other people, because there's tools that have worked for us and our lives have changed dramatically. And we know what it feels like to be stuck in bed with the feeling that nothing will ever change and this feeling will never go away. Turns out that feeling is lying to you, but a lot of people don't have the tools to help them with that process. Now, Mike at that time was working for Xero, the accounting software company, and I was working at Goldman Sachs. And he showed me this early version of Schmoody, the app. And it was beautiful to look at. I was blown away. It was super simple in terms of the UX. And the thing that impressed me the most was that it was actually fun. It was actually funny. There were jokes in there. I know from my own experience in recovery that humor is actually a powerful, transformative force. It actually has a psychological impact, changes your perspective. It helps you form authentic connections with other people. So I was blown away. Now, most companies think that a mental health app needs to feel clinical and science-y to be effective, but the opposite is true. And we've now proven that thesis. We now have over 6,000 paying subscribers and an annualized run rate of $1 million, and that's ramping up fast. So basically, there is a mental health crisis underway. Everybody knows that. Some people don't realize just how hard the younger generation is being hit. 58% of Gen Z now report feeling symptoms of depression, which is really just out of control. The reality is everybody knows someone who struggled with mental health. Each of you, I'm sure, knows someone who has struggled or is struggling. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be you. For so many of us, it's a reality these days. But the fact is that there's tools that can help people, but if you don't pick up and use the tools, nothing changes, right? So we're building a solution that's not just fun to use, but it's insanely easy to use so that people actually pick up the tools, actually use the tools, and actually feel better. And guess what? People are willing to pay for what makes them feel better. So, we use persuasive design, we use gamification, we build an insanely fun brand to create a solution that's radically different than any of the other self-guided apps that are in the space. We're a self-guided app. We're not a teletherapy app. Those can be great, but there's many hours in the week when you're not in therapy. And we're not a meditation and sleep app. Calm and Headspace are cool, but meditation is not the whole equation when it comes to mental health. So we create customized action plans for people every day, depending on how you're feeling. If you're really struggling, it might just be brush your teeth and watch your favorite TV show. If you're not struggling so much, it might be take a walk around the block, do this breathing exercise, and call someone you love. These might sound simple, but there's actually science. It's called behavioral activation. But basically, taking those simple actions dramatically changes how you feel. And so Schmoody users who complete our in-app action plans report feeling 42% better on average. So that's a big deal. So young people benefit from it the most. Part of that is because young people are struggling the most. It's also because they really resonate with our irreverent approach and our authentic voice. Everything in the app is written by people that have been there before. Young people have very good BS detectors, right? If something feels corporate and clinical, they're like, no, thank you, all right? And they identify with the fun approach. So we're reaching those young people on social media. We're meeting them where they're at. A lot of people are looking for something that's an antidote to toxic social media. Social media is part of the problem. So we use organic, we use paid ads, and we use influencers. And now, through a lot of iterating of product, we got our conversion rate to paying customers from free installs from 0.5% to over 9% by the fall of last year. We hired an amazing marketing team who's done this before. And we've now grown incredibly fast. We had 35,000 in revenue in January. That was an all-time high. 80,000 in February, so we more than doubled it. And now we're going to more than double it. We're on pace to hit that number in March. So we're growing incredibly fast, and there's a huge demand, and we're having this real positive impact in people's lives. We're currently fundraising. We're raising kind of a second part of the seed. It's really just a bridge to the Series A. By this fall, we can be at 50,000 paying customers. That's $2 million in ARR. We can be at 50 million in ARR in 5 years and 100 million in 10 years. We're building a brand, a platform, and a community that will be on the phone of every member of Gen Z in 10 years, the same way that Instagram is on the phone of every millennial now. So it's super exciting, and we invite you to join us on this journey. Thanks so much.
Love what you're doing. It's incredible.
Thank you.
I'm curious what you're doing to mitigate any risk from the standpoint of you're not giving medical advice, but you are, kind of threading this needle, right, of let me help you, let me, diagnose, for lack of a better word, what you can do. And I realize some of what you're saying can easily not be misconstrued, but there's always that liability factor. So how do you protect against that?
Yeah, no, and that's a really good question. And we make sure we're very intentional about this in the messaging of the app, at the onboarding, and in the resources section of the app to make it very clear to people that we're not diagnosing any condition. We're not providing medical treatment, and we're not a crisis resource. We make it clear to people we are a helpful tool to help you connect with other people. I didn't even mention our awesome anonymized community section, which is super fun. And we're giving you helpful suggestions. And we make sure it's clear that people understand that, because the app is not intended as a crisis resource. It's not intended as an intervention. And we do have a very helpful resources section where we point people to those resources if they are really struggling, because we're not the end-all be-all of the solution here. We're just an important piece in helping people build positive daily habits. Yeah.
I'm curious about, really great pitch.
Thank you.
I'm really curious about, where do you see this? So it looks like you're focusing on Gen Z.
That's
Is
correct.
that the
Younger
average?
millennials also love us, but
Okay,
yeah.
okay. And how do you see this kind of expanding? What's your kind of game plan?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, our consumer, we're a consumer app, and we're just taking off in terms of new subscribers. So in January, we added 1,000, 2,000 in February. We're on pace to add 4,000. So there's a huge segment of younger millennials and Gen Z that we haven't reached yet, and we have the growth team in place, plus the unit economics to reach those folks. But a really awesome thing happened just the other day. Someone from a major university in Texas reached out unprompted. So we've been building a plan to go to universities. We've just been so busy building the consumer part of the app that we haven't done so yet. And they said, we absolutely love the app. We have 3 mental health apps that we use on campus, and nobody uses them because they feel like you're sitting in a doctor's office. They don't feel relatable to the students. And we said, thank you. We'd love to talk to you. Let us put together a proposal. We're talking to them actively. This is going to open the door. There's also opportunities to go to corporate HR, of course. Once we've built a product that actually impacts the end user. There are mental health apps that are sold to corporate HR that, frankly, pardon my French, they kind of suck. And it's because they just built it and started selling it. So there's a lot of B2B opportunities on the horizon. Thanks.
Thank you for your pitch. You clearly are working on a really important problem, especially since the pandemic has really affected people's mental health. you spoke in your pitch a little bit about how you differentiate yourself from other mental health type apps, and it's becoming a very crowded marketplace because the need is high. There's a large market for it. What I'm curious about is, outside of being entertaining, feeling authentic, what do you see as your unique competitive advantage that you can maintain in this market?
Well, the biggest thing is the brand. Like, we're building a brand, and it's one reason why we're growing so quickly, because we want to get out there in front of people and become a trusted brand. There's all sorts of positive impacts to that, right? Building brand equity over time, of course, increases your pricing power. Of course, it increases word of mouth. Of course, your K factor goes up. So we're hyper focused on building that brand and becoming the trusted brand, the #1 brand in the space. But there are other cool things too. Right now, all the tools that we're providing people are not anything that's like scientific breakthroughs. It's that we're giving people their vegetables in a way that they want to eat. That's the difference, right? Persuasive design, there's a science behind that. That's what we're using. But we are working on predictive mental health technology. There's very cool AI that exists, and we have a partner that we're actively working on basically being able to use the Apple Health Kit API to predict when people are going to have an anxiety episode or a depressive episode, and change our recommendations and suggestions accordingly. So that's the cutting edge. And it's super exciting. It's predictive mental health technology, and that's what we're working on. That'll further differentiate us. But to answer your question, right now, it's really becoming the leading brand. And we're having a lot of success with that with young people. 250,000 installs, 50,000 monthly active users. Siri didn't understand, but hopefully you did.
No, that was very helpful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll ask one quick question.
Yeah.
You're at a stage where you're getting client acquisition. Have you have any metrics on what the retention rate is like? Because one of the challenges, hey, you got the conversion rate to 9%.
Yep.
What's the churn rate? How are you going to measure that? Are you already accounting for that?
Yeah, so 95% of our subscriptions are annual, so we won't have the full churn rate there until the year, and we only introduced paid subscriptions midway through last year. In this space, though, the mobile app space, the important thing is to get an LTV to CAC ratio where you're bringing in immediately an LTV more than CAC. And that's what we're doing now. And then your renewals down the road, which honestly a good benchmark is like 25%. It's different than like an enterprise model, but that's all driving long-term profitability. But right now our unit economics are immediately profitable. After the 7-day trial, we realize that immediate LTV. So that enables us to scale very quickly.
Yeah, and it's more of a comment than anything. So a lot of people don't know the wealth transfer that's going to take place with millennials, and I want to encourage you to group them in, inside your pitch, because I think the greatest amount of money that investors, I've been investing for 25 years and 15 years in alternative investments, and $76 trillion is going to move from baby boomers to millennials. And if you follow the trends of what millennials are doing, that's where there's going to be huge opportunity. And this is a trend that has taken hold with that group.
No, that's a really good point, and I know we're out of time, but the younger millennials are our kind of best customers right now because they do have purchasing power, and that's only going to increase. Gen Z is also just coming into purchasing power.
And by the way, 76 trillion in dollars, like that's the wealth of China. Like it's an incredible, it's the greatest wealth transfer that's ever happened in the history of the world.
Great. Thanks so much.
Awesome advice. All right, and now to wrap up, our last competitor, none other than Henry. What's up?
How you doing, ERock? Thank you, guys. Amazing 4 companies, or 3, plus yours. Amazing. So I'm Henry, CEO and founder of Gane, or Gain, Gain.com, G-A-N-E. I'm so proud of the domain name, Gane.com. So it's, that's it. No, it's so it's a cell phone service, like with a SIM card. Or eSIM, users get free service. They insert their SIM card, download an app, interact with content like education. It has a wallet to interact with a wallet, sponsored content, earn token, and then they can swap the token for free service. They don't have to pay anymore. So that's amazing for the prepaid segment of the world. And 80% of developing countries are prepaid. Like a guy in Mexico who's married. Both of them work. They both make money. They're 80% of the population, and they all have a same problem. They don't have financial inclusion. They don't have education. And the common thread is they all have prepaid service. They have to go recharge in a store. They hate it. And they're unbanked. So with Gane is free. They insert their SIM card. Now they have a wallet too. It's not only a free service, but it has a wallet. Now they can do mobile payments, receive remittances, which really help these people. In the United States, where we're going to launch next, we already launched in Mexico, 30% of the consumers are prepaid as well here. So in Mexico, we launched on beta last August, September. We've been growing organically, really as fast as we want. We have over 12,000 users. During this beta thing, we've changed 35 versions, only 35 versions of the app. So it's been an amazing ride. We're going to launch for real now at the end of this month, beginning of April, in Mexico, and we expect to grow exponentially. We closed our pre-seed round last year, where we had amazing investors like Jump Capital, Big Brain, the Cello founders, a few more, and now we are launching this second seed round. We're raising $5 million. I think I just found a lead investor. I don't want to, but I've invested a lot of my money in the company. The team and I have worked before. We were the first internet service provider of the country of Colombia back in 1995, when I have more hair than ERock. and back then, and a lot of we sold that company 10 years later to Bell South. We had over 1,000 employees. If you ever go to Colombia and you connect to the internet, you will go through some of the fiber that I installed and the NAP and a bunch of other things. The same team works with me now. They have followed me like idiots. No, I'm just joking. They have followed me through other businesses. And from my COO, who is my co-founder, she has worked with me since 1999, etc. They're all amazing. We already have the service. It's a cell phone service. It's not an app. So we're like, all licensed, and it's we have a call center. We have to get coverage in the whole country. Companies like Deutsche Telekom, AT&T, T-Mobile belongs to Deutsche. Our Vodafone, they are all very interested in us because, prepaid is a problem. It was a solution to not being able to sell postpaid to the people, but it became a problem not only for the companies that sell it, because it's they have to charge $1. But for the users, it's so expensive. You have to go to a store. Now with the free service, it's amazing. You couldn't do Gane just a few years ago. People didn't have smartphones. We've had the first BlackBerry. They didn't. The cost of us doing business has dropped down such that with 1 minute a day, they can earn a gig a month for free. So on the ride to the store, instead of going to the store to buy, they can just, get free service. And, it's a game changer. My intention at this time with my team is to bring education through the phone. This is all gamified. The more they learn, the more they earn. To bring financial inclusion. These people don't have a wallet. This is their first wallet. When they get it, it's like they don't know. It's like it's free service, but it has a wallet. It's like a Trojan horse kind of thing. And then thirdly, connectivity. So bringing connectivity, financial inclusion, and education to the people who need it most really is going to bring them up. And that's our intention right now with Gane. And, I hope to see you really soon when we are scaled in other countries. Thank you very much.
Amazing. I've got family that's lived in Colombia for a long time. I'm sure we've used your services over the years. My question is, and I've got a lot of questions. Unfortunately, we don't have time for them all, but just a quick question on target market. You're moving north from Mexico to 30% versus going south where you're likely going to have 80,
That's an amazing
90%.
question. Why do I go to the U.S. when I can go to Colombia next? So Colombia, for example, so Mexico after Brazil. Let's say Brazil, it's its own continent, but Mexico has 135 million people, of which close to 100 are prepaid. Colombia has around 50 million people, close to 35 million are prepaid. United States has 320 million, 80 million are prepaid. 80 million. It's a lot of people here in our own town that are prepaid. So not only that, the remittances corridor between the United States and Mexico is $40 billion, and they get raped by Western Unions and all of those. So with Gane, we have both sides of the wallet. And, the people who send or receive remittances usually have a prepaid phone. They go to the cash checking thing and then get raped again when they send. With this, they just go click, 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 click. And that's why the United States.
Really, really interesting business.
Thank you.
So 2 questions. One question is, how are you making it free for the main user? Why are they able to get free service after using it? Second question is, when you think about building this, what is the kind of long-term plan in terms of all developing nations who have this problem? Just 100% of everything. It's just so many places that you can go with this.
So the first question is easy. Everybody wants to reach this population. It's 80%. People have to understand, you make more money selling beer to them or selling motorcycles to them than selling BMWs to the rich people of those countries. So advertisers really want to get to them. So advertising. The second, in that same media, the governments would love to interact with them, not just put billboards and radio. And then there's ONGs, like women that need to, so Gane is, you can just choose this, sex by location, by age, by preference, so people can reach. So that's one of the ways we bring revenues. The second way is the wallet itself brings fees, a lot less in Western Union. It's not 10%, it's 3%, it's 4%, etc. And then there's the third revenue stream, which is premium services that consumers pay directly. Insurances that they don't have, English language, and a lot of partners go through there. We are a customer acquisition tool for many other customers, so we get a fee. So that is how we make money. And then the answer to your question is, we built Gane from the start so we could copy paste it. We have all the APIs connecting to the most to carriers, so we can. We're already testing with T-Mobile to launch here in the U.S. So the idea is to copy paste and go everywhere with it, and it's a beautiful thing because the intention is to actually raise the quality of living of the people.
Quick question. What's your go-to-market strategy?
We launched in August, September last year. I say launched because we went to this little town called Puerto Venturas in Mexico, and we went to a few stores and say, hey, how about we take a video of your thing and advertise for free? What? Yeah, sure. So we did. And then we put a little sign and a desk in the center square. There's 20,000 people live in this little town. And, hey, it's free service. Free? Nah. Yeah, look, free. Okay. So that's all we did. And now they're calling us from all over the country just from that little seed. Because it's free. And we're going to launch for it with real advertising and grow for real. But yeah, our go-to-market strategy is they hate their current situation.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Henry. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So that's going to end our HubSpot pitch competition here at Grit Daily 2023. We're so grateful for HubSpot's participation. I want to thank all the sharks, dun, 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 for participating today. And what we're going to do is confer a little bit, and then we'll come back and announce who the winner is. So thank you for participating.